So, okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. Do we want to do the roll call, Ms. Steiner?
Sure. Legislator Andres?
Here.
Legislator Collins?
Here.
Legislator Bratt? Legislator Godfrey?
Here.
Legislator Myers?
Here.
Legislator Grozio? Legislator Robbins?
Here.
And Legislator Wish.
Also present, we have Mr. Bergasser, Mr. Cassell, Ms. Steiner, and is Mr. Updegrove with us?
Yes, but I think he's muted.
I got it. Okay, well, keep that up. That's good. The introduction. So we'll go with the introduction once we get to the Invest Buffalo Niagara part of the meeting. I want approval of the February 10th minutes. And a motion by Legislator Robbins. Second by Legislator Collins. Under question? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carried. I'm going to blow through the action items before we get to our presentation, if you don't mind. I'd like to go with Resolution ED 013-21 support of the Northern Niagara Regional Trail Network Collaborative Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. Cassell, would you just bring us up to date on that? I know Legislator Meyer was crucial to that.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman Andres. At the last ED meeting, you'll recall the Legislator Godfrey and Myers brought up the Northern Niagara Regional Trail Network, MOU, which several Niagara County municipalities have signed on to. This resolution in your packet demonstrates the support of the Niagara County Legislature for this collaborative. Its vision is to ensure that each community stays connected to one another and to the existing regional trail network, and there's no cost at all to the county tied to this resolution.
Okay, nothing tied to the resolution, but there could be costs down the road if we choose to incur them.
Be totally up to the legislature.
Okay, and we had talked about amongst ourselves, Legislator Myers and Godfrey, about not, kind of guaranteeing the funds from future legislatures down the road. We'll take it piece by piece, and if there's a part of this we want to fund, great. If there's not, then that's also fine. So I got a motion by Legislator Godfrey, second by Legislator Myers. Now under question, anyone? Okay. Not hearing any questions, we'll have a motion. We got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion is carried. It'll go to the full legislature in just a short while. Next one, Resolution ED 01421, representation in Energy Improvement Corporation. Mr. Cassell?
Thank you again, Rich. In 2019, Niagara County passed a local law, you'll recall, and signed a memorandum of understanding that authorized the county to become a member, participating municipality in Energy Improvement Corporation. Now, as a refresher, EIC is an independent, not-for-profit local development corp that administers the Open Sea PACE program for its municipal members. That program is a unique financing program that channels capital funding to industrial, commercial, and not-profit building owners to make energy upgrades to their buildings. This resolution, and this resolution appoints Key Manager Updegrove to act as Chairwoman Wittish's proxy when needed to exercise all the powers, rights, and privileges that come with membership, including the voting rights. The resolution also allows you, Rick, the county manager, to appoint a proxy if you want to act as the Niagara County representative. So, Rick, I would assume if it comes down to that, you would want to appoint either myself or Ben Bedell as your proxy. Again, there's no cost to the county tied to this resolution. Assistant County Attorney Bergasser recommended and advised us to proceed with this resolution for purposes of clarifying and formalizing authorities on our end. There seems to be, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, there seems to be one meeting a year of the Energy Improvement Corporation. It serves as their annual meeting, and it takes place in Westchester County. The next meeting is going to be, I think, the day after our legislature meeting. So we're going to try to tie up how a proxy would before that meeting takes up this resolution. Again, there's no cost to the county.
Well, thank you. And
What was the question?
need a motion by legislator Robbins, second by legislator Godfrey. And now we have any questions related to this particular resolution? Seems pretty straightforward.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So does it have to be in person, or is it, can it be done electronic?
Rick, that's a great question. Tom Burgesser and I were talking about that, and we had several back and forths with Ben Bedell, my planning manager, who's been nuts over this. Right now, we attended last year's meeting, but we did it via Zoom. Rick, the meeting's in Westchester County, and it doesn't look like the agenda has enough meaty items on it to warrant a drive to Westchester County for a 45-minute meeting. So right now, it doesn't look like you can vote by internet. But I think, we'll have a discussion with the EIC and see if maybe we can change that. We could use whoever is the proxy, if it's Becky, if you're going to be the person, or if it's going to be Rick or whoever. We could ask Susan Morth of EIC to vote for us, because you have to be in person to vote. But we would want to make sure that they know what our intentions are on all those items. But again, we don't know any of the directors that are being put forth for membership. You've got the minutes of the last meeting, and then you've got the approval of the annual report. I hope, I didn't mean to get long-winded on the answer, Rick, but the short answer is no, you can't vote via internet, but you can participate.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah.
The last meeting, Rick, I'm sorry.
Second question would be, what's the relevance and importance relative to the vote? I mean, if there's an issue there that's important to us, or we have strong feelings one way or the other regarding directors, then if the only way we can vote is to be in person, then we'll be there in person. But I suppose we would need that assessment, right?
Every year we probably have to do that.
Or you can send your vote and your intentions on that vote to Susan Morth and ask that she serve as a proxy. Am I right, Tom?
Right. We got to fill out a form and send it in and give her the proxy. And, it's really not clear. I mean, their bylaws don't even require the resolution that we're doing. However, I believe that the county's rules and rules require that we do this resolution in order to set up who has the authority to go there and to vote. This year, the last meeting took place by a virtual meeting, and my understanding, we're not going to get into any discussion with them this year on this meeting, but after the meeting, we would like to discuss with them that if they do a virtual meeting, the rules are in place that the votes can take place virtually. But we'll discuss that after this meeting. This meeting, the biggest thing that's there is the election of directors, and I don't think we're in a position to have the knowledge that it would matter on the vote. However, if you feel you need to know who the directors are up for election or re-election, we can get that information, Rich. But
Okay.
That's the point. My point is that we need to assess the importance, the relevance of us participating. I mean, that's part of the assessment.
Mhm.
Beyond that,
Yeah, Rick, it's
Well, here.
Becky. Tom, if you don't mind, this resolution is not just for this year, correct? It would cover future years because it doesn't have our names in it. It just has our titles. So I
that
think
is
the
correct. It
intention,
covers,
okay.
it
So the
covers all
intention here,
future. I'm
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the intention then is to get this set up for the future because, obviously there's gonna be a lot of times I can't drive down there in person. If there is a vote that's very important to us and we have to be there in person, this system will be in place for future years if we need to utilize it to get someone there in person and vote if there's an issue that is truly important to us.
That was very
So I
good clarification. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to be sure it covered future years.
Yes,
We've
it
got
does.
a,
That's why we put it in there that way.
We have a motion and second under question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. 7.0 and 8.0, Rick, would you take care of those and just both together?
I'll give you just there's a couple of things I would mention. Ms. Kleizak pointed out to me that the Niagara Frontier Publications ran an article on the 23rd of February, which is online, which has a link to all of our tax delinquent sites. And I had a meeting on an unrelated project about a week ago, and it generated a lot of interest in some of those sites that are on that list for a renewable energy project. So Ms. Kleizak and Ms. Fisk have both been in contact with this company. And on the residential side for the land bank, as you know, all the foreclosures keep getting put back and pushed back, but we did close on the Vandervoort. As you know, there was an issue there. We found somebody who's going to develop that property and reuse it. That has closed, but you know, at some point in time, regardless of whether or not the foreclosures are being pushed back, we're going to have to, I think, go back to the municipalities and remind them that there are still options, and we can still take we can still take action on residential properties. But, you know, I understand that moving back to foreclosures is made a little bit difficult, a little bit clunky, but, you know, we'll figure that out, and we'll have some more direction coming from the land bank prior to our next economic development meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. And economic development outreach to municipalities, Mr. Casale. I know we talk about this on the phone quite a bit, but anything for the good of the order here?
Yeah, staff continues to work on the presentation to our municipalities in an effort to inform them what's available to them through our office and the office of our partners. Our staff is going to be meeting next Wednesday to review a draft presentation which was put together, and an updated NCCED incentives booklet, which will be used during these presentations. Kathy Seinor has reached out to all the municipalities to ascertain which ones are meeting in person right now and which ones are meeting virtually to help us put together a realistic schedule. After Wednesday's meeting of our staff, we should have a better handle on when we can begin these presentations. And we're hoping to start them as soon as May of this year, Rich.
And Mike, I'd like to, if I could, just one more thing. We, you know, the stimulus went through today. It'll mean money to all our municipalities. You know, any help you could give as far as guidance to them as to what could be, what this could be used for, any best practices about how we could spend that money. You know, as far as municipalities go, I'm sure they'd appreciate that. That might be something more to sort of help them with, you know, because everybody's sort of navigating this, you know, cash bonanza that they're unleashing on us. So it should be sort of interesting times here.
Yeah, we really have to study hard, do some homework, and find out what qualifies under the bill's spending rules. But we've got some good ideas, and I know we're all going to get together to talk about some of those.
Very good. And business assistance update.
Updating the business growth and retention program progress. We've reached out to 24 companies to date. We've conducted 10 meetings, and today you might have seen in the Buffalo News that the IDA approved a sales tax exemption for one of those companies we've been meeting with, Trek Inc. of Lockport.
Okay.
Great project. They'll be saving about $400,000 as a result of that exemption on this $8.2 million project. They're going to take the entire third floor of Harrison Place and create a high voltage center of excellence. So it's an exciting project. We were there to, along with, you know, Tom Kucharski's a part of this too, the Western New York Advisory Group. We were there to help support an application for hydropower, which they received approval from the New York Power Authority. So that's a retention of 122 jobs, creation of 30 new jobs, and potentially 3 years down the road, another 30 jobs. And then 6 years down the road, their plan calls for another expansion. So we're pretty excited about that project. So that's the retention program. On the virtual business workshops, we continue to do them. We held our first workshop, which was a focused workshop on workforce development and training. Kathy Seinor, if you can give us a quick update on how that went.
Sure. We did hold that workshop on Thursday, February 25th. We had 23 participants, including 17 attendees from manufacturing, healthcare, retail, hospitality, and agricultural business sectors within the county. The panelists include Mike Casale, Don Jablonski from Employment and Training, Karen Quandras from NCCC Workforce Development, Dennis Martinez from Access VR, and Joe Steinmetz from Orleans Niagara BOCES. We did an exit survey at the end. We had lots of positive feedback from the attendees, and they were all provided with the slide deck that included all of the links to all of the programs and the contacts so that they could follow back up with them. And we've also taken that, we did record the event, and we have worked with IT. We now have a link to that on our website under the featured events tab. So people can go on and look that, and we'll continue to promote it. And we're looking forward to our first general workshop of 2021, and that's scheduled to take place on April 14th.
Thank you. Kathy's done a tremendous job setting these things up. She's a WebEx guru. The William Main program, the enhancement program, we had the mandatory orientation session on Friday. 21 participated in that session. Applications are due on March 31st, and we told organizations to stay tuned as to whether or not the check presentation is going to be virtual or in person. And also in your packet today, you've got the 2021 Niagara County Agribusiness Outreach Forum flyer. That's going to be conducted a couple of days down the road here this month. Kathy, real quickly, talk about that.
Sure. For those of you who remember, we did conduct an Ag Forum in 2019, which was a big success. We held it at Cornell. We had over 100 attendees. We had everything in place last year to do the same thing. And 2 weeks before, it was scheduled for April 5th. So 2 weeks before, we had to cancel it. We decided that we wanted to do one again this year, but given everything, we knew that we had to do it through a virtual format. So that's going to take place on Tuesday, March 23rd and Thursday, March 25th from 9 to 11 each day. Chairwoman Widdish will be making the opening remarks for us on day one. The topics of the two-day event will include crop diversification and agritourism on the 23rd and succession planning and labor issues on the 25th. And then throughout the forum, they'll be talking about Food Safety Modernization Act, Cornell Cooperative Extension's regional ag teams, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Niagara County, their beginning farmer training program, low cost power, and then programs that are offered through the NCCC Small Business Development Center, Niagara County Farm Bureau, New York State Ag and Markets, and then also from our office. The sponsors are the same ones as 2019. It's our office, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Niagara County, Niagara USA Chamber, the SBDC over at NCCC, the Niagara County Farm Bureau, and Nutrien. And National Grid, for this Ag Forum, they have created a grant that runs through the Niagara USA Chamber, and that helps us with some of the promotion and the marketing and getting the information out. Like Mike said, in your packet, you have a flyer. It is electronic in there. If you click on the register here link, it will take you right to the registration page, which is also located on our website, which is niagaracountybusiness.com/featured-events. There you can sign up for either of the days. We've also created a Facebook event on our Facebook page, NCCED. People can sign up that way. And Mike and I have been working with Kevin Schuler this week to put together a press release, which he's just putting the finishing touches on for us. And he'll be getting that out in the next couple of days. So, we're putting everything together. There's slide decks for each day with all kinds of information. So now we're in promotion mode. So anything that all of you can do to help promote that, we would appreciate it.
Thanks, Kathy.
Very good. For all that you do. We have the only thing left on the agenda is beyond correspondence, which I'm assuming we don't have.
Correct.
Typically, we have a presentation from Invest Buffalo Niagara. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, I have a 6th birthday party going on in my house with my mom and dad and so a few cousins over. I will turn the virtual gavel over to Mr. Collins so I can listen in on this. But in case there's any shouting or yelling that comes in here, I will mute myself. It's closing in, and I figure it's not good for we'll read that back next minute. But I will turn the virtual gavel over to Mr. Collins. You've got all the power of vested in me is now vested in you. So I will turn over the presentation to Mr. Kucharski from the Invest Buffalo Niagara to take it away.
Have fun at your party. That's cool. All right. So, hi everybody. It's nice to see everybody again. I think when last we were together last year was right before we all kind of shut down. So I think we talked about a number of projects and initiatives that we were in the process of getting started. We also spent some time talking about the Amazon search for their very large project, which I'm happy to report I'm now out of therapy and doing much better. And so we'd like to kind of, it's been a difficult year for all of us, not to make light of it, but it's been a very difficult year for all of us. For groups like ours, which we're a public-private partnership, we're a 501c6, we were not included for any assistance throughout the pandemic. And so 95% of our funding comes from the private sector throughout the 8-county region, and many of them, especially in the hospitality or related industries, were hard hit. And so we had to kind of pivot in the middle of the year and really take stock of what was the most important strategic priorities to focus on. We went down to a 4-day work week. We stopped a number of employee benefits, and we actually reduced the size of our staff. And so it's a credit to everybody who's working at the organization that they hung in there, and we think we're better coming out the other side of it, and we'll present it to you somewhat quickly today, and hopefully leave time for some questions here. So if we could move on to the next slide. This is very wordy. It basically says that we're the Regional Economic Development Organization for the 8-county, and that we try and do as professional and as concise a job of promoting our region and advancing interest in our region to the appropriate opportunities, and then working with all of our valued partners to bring them into the red zone, and then hopefully score after that. Next slide, please. Here's an update on our wins, jobs, and investment since we've been around and keeping track of it since 2001. These are only the projects that we have been in charge of, not the ones that we've provided business assistance to or worked collaboratively with. These are just the ones that we were the lead on. So that's our record, and it stands very well compared to other regions our size over the same time period. Next slide, please.
Back or something.
Okay, so as I every year as I come and talk to you, I emphasize the importance of focusing on the areas that we know we can have success with very limited resources. Even with all of us working together across the 8-county region, it's a very, very competitive marketplace, and it's a global economy. So you got to be really good at what you do. And so it's important not only to concentrate your effort on these key industries and subsectors within these industries, but it also shows to the outside world that we know what we're doing, and that we're very good within these sectors, and that we have the right resources and opportunities for location and expansion in our region in these industries. Next slide. I'm moving very fast, but please, this is to organize our thoughts. So when we pivoted, we kind of went back to basics, and that really is continuing to focus on business attraction, but being very, very laser focused now. during the pandemic and working. We'll talk about this in a second. Getting very granular, working with all of our partners. You just got done hearing Mike and his good news on one of his companies. We're trying to help all of our partners with business expansion because they, as you know, their attraction and expansion are tied together. Nobody's coming to a region if the folks in that industry are not happy with that region. We are below average and in migration of new talent, and I'm sure Mike talks to you all the time about this. And we are not going to right size our way to prosperity. So we've got to start bringing people to the region in chronic skill categories that many of our manufacturers, insurance, advanced business services, life sciences are all looking for, and many of them are chronic needs that we can't be filled with our existing workforce. And so we now have a talent attraction campaign that I mentioned at last year's meeting that is in full force, and I'll give you a little bit more update on that. And then kind of repivot from an economic standpoint, our effort going forward and making sure that we're resourced on some of our initiatives that you'll hear about shortly, and make sure that they have the potential to span many years and build on success and repopulate our area and bring more business here. Next slide, please. So I am joined by our newest member of our staff, and that's the VP for Business Development. It's Kim Grant, and some of you may know her. She's got a great deal of private sector business development experience, as well as experience in the life science and the entrepreneurial field here locally at the Center of Excellence and the University of Buffalo. She actually joined us on the day that we shut down in March of last year. So we've never been officially in the office with Kim, but she's done a great job of kind of taking the business development activity and its relation to marketing and sales and research, and reconstituted it into what is on pace to be one of the best years we've had in 10 years, which is amazing considering it's occurring during a pandemic. So I'll turn it over to Kim to go through the next few slides.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you all of you for taking the time to talk about it. It's what we love to do, and I could not be more thrilled to be a part of Invest Buffalo Niagara. It's been one heck of a year. March 16th is my 1-year anniversary. It's also the anniversary that we started working from home. And prior to the pandemic, we had conducted strategy sessions with the Invest Buffalo Niagara Executive Committee to make sure that we were focused on the initiatives that would bring the most value. And so that's what we've been, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, laser focused on. Local company expansions were one of the activities that they identified that was an opportunity for us. I'm thrilled to talk about how significant Niagara County's IDA was so tremendous in helping us achieve the things that we've done. When I look at what comes across the transom to us, it's coming from our website, it's coming from our Access US newsletter, it's coming from our IDA partners, it's coming from ESD, it's coming from referrals from other companies that we've helped, it's coming from our podcast, Bell Ringer. If you haven't listened to it, you will walk away from listening to that podcast with the feel-good reason that we all live, work, and play here. It's just so special. And then we've just grown upon all those different things. Most recently, we hosted the Recharge webinar with New York Power Authority. And, you know, we take it for granted, these programs and the things that we do every single day. But like any good marketing campaign, you have to say it, you have to say what you just said, and then you got to remind them what you just said. And so we're continuing to do this on a regular basis. So we've got quite the traction going right now. and in large part with our partners there, between Mike and Andrea and Amy. I cannot say enough how meaningful it has been to me personally, that when I make a phone call or send an email, the responsiveness is extraordinary. And when we get into the next slide and talk about particular projects, I can address that more readily. So let's go to the next slide. So right now we are looking at 16 wins, over $396 million in capital investment and 1,005 jobs. These are conservative numbers. So, you know, our fiscal year ends on June 30th. And I'm really excited for all of you to call me on July 1st, because I think we're going to knock it out of the park. The reason for that, as much as I would like to take credit for it, I would totally not do that, because the Invest Buffalo Niagara team is the most extraordinary group of people. And take this extraordinary pandemic situation, and then you take our beautiful, incredible region, and you've got urban centers. People are fleeing urban centers. Why would you spend $3,000 on a 600-foot apartment in New York City when you could live in a center entrance colonial for that same amount, and you and your family could have some elbow room? The supply chain interruption has been absolutely huge. So our phones have been ringing off the hook because people are recognizing that their customer base is in the US and they might be in Southern Ontario. They might have had supply chain issues with China. And now they're realizing that, you know, as lovely as it would be to be in Austin, Texas, they may not have the most sustainable power situation there. And so all of these things have culminated in our area really shining. And you're going to see that in these projects. Next slide, please. So these are the things that we've been working on. Project Granola, a Canadian manufacturer. We toured multiple facilities in Niagara, Erie, and Genesee County, and ultimately they decided to go to Genesee County, but Niagara was a close second. Great greenfields. The 15-year tax abatement was a huge draw, and just working with Mike and Andrea and Tom Sy, unbelievable. Project Jammin, I am happy to report as I sit here today, this is going to end up in Niagara County. Right now, they are looking at Niagara Falls, and they're looking at Lockport. Niagara Falls has an edge right now. The mayor's involvement and responsiveness to the lead of the company has been extraordinary. And we've pulled in our utility companies for additional grant incentives. We've pulled in some of our professional services companies, law firms and accountants, and they are all helping with immigration challenges, our banking folks for getting construction loans and mortgages. So this is going to happen in Niagara County, and you'll be hearing from me probably within the week or two. I have it scheduled as closing before March 31st. So I know you'll all be sitting next to your emails in anticipation of that. And extra kudos to Andrea. She has been talking to our contact, Dave and Preet there, on a pretty regular basis, doing the geo surveys of the project and nuancy things. They're moving heavy equipment. Do the roads accommodate that? How close are the utilities? This is going to be a build-to-suit building. We're working with RP Oak and TM Montante, and they're both evaluating how close the utilities are. It's a really exciting project and fabulous. Jammin has 60% of all their customers are in the US. And we started talking to them last summer, took a break, and then re-engaged with them in the beginning of December, where they actually came across the border, knew that they were going to have to quarantine afterwards, but got all their ducks in a row and figured out what they needed to do to move this project forward in spite of the pandemic and in spite of the quarantining. So could not be more excited about that. Project Watts, you know, looking at some of the old properties and facilities that are in existence that have the necessary power. And now we're evaluating, do we want to be a part of the blockchain cluster? That's not for me to ask, but that's something that is down the pike. We're looking for race for place. We want to be known for all of the 5 industries that we represent, but maybe there are others. We see it in Erie County right now with Great Point and with Buffalo Studios. And because of the Toronto Film Festival and some conversations we're having with the EDC in Canada, there's a whole film market, film production, animation, and we've got all the infrastructure in place to support that. And, oh, by the way, it's really cost effective to do that filming and producing here. And we've got the community colleges and the universities and all of that developing this pipeline of talent that are going to feed into what is really a sexy industry to be able to support. So very excited about that. Project Irwin, I am as hopeful as anyone that this Stavati Aerospace project comes to fruition. It would be so meaningful to our region. They are still, as you might have seen in the news, looking for financing. And yet we are assured on a regular basis from John Simon, who some of you are associated with from days gone by, that they are in full acquisition mode. And we have directed them to basically say, let's get a contract in place. Let's get revenue coming in the door. Let's not just have conversations about hiring people, let's hire them. And let's start paying them and start moving the needle. And by doing that, and with the continued support from Niagara County, we can really make an impact with Stavati. And last but not least, I'm working with Project Pontoon. Think of the boom in renewable energy right now. And in fact, Amy Fisk is going to be participating in our Renewable Energy Roundtable coming up in April. But we have solar, we have geothermal, we have wind. So what Pontoon has done is they submerge a pontoon in a fast flowing river, and they capture that energy and put it into huge batteries. And so it's just one more thing about our region that we're working on. And what better place than the Niagara River to submerge this pontoon. So this has been an all hands on deck conversation. We're probably 6 months to a year, but not only do they want to use us for or leverage our resource of the river, but they're also going to be manufacturing that here. And, you know, it makes sense to leverage some of the industrial sites that are available in Niagara Falls, so that, and because of the 190 and all of the byways to get things around, you can transfer these pontoons, you know, in rail and on boats, big boats, and you know, and the throughway. So we're really excited about this project, and it's just another dimension of how our region is playing in this renewable energy space. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it back over to Tom because this is his expertise. You're on mute, Tom.
I knew that. I was just testing all of you to see if you knew that. So I'm kind of zoomed out. I don't know about y'all, but so you've been, I think I announced this last year when we were together, and said we were going to do this large inventory. We were going to hire a consultant in site selection to come here and really help the region look at sites as a third party that would advise companies on where to go, because our industrial vacancy rate is among the lowest of any metro area in the country. And so the pandemic kind of slowed us down, but we are finally at a point where we're going to be rolling this out. And there's a couple of things that are very important, and this slide kind of indicates that. If you look at, you know, what we're bringing to the market as a region is roughly about a third of the those three communities that we are benchmarking ourselves against. But if you look at it in a larger context, cities, regions our size in the Northeast and the Midwest, we're only bringing on new product, new available occupiable buildings and sites at about a third of the rate of those places. And so when you get down to a 2.5% vacancy rate, which is almost frictionally zero. Right now, in our portfolio of some 95 projects that are in different stages of development, we have many of them are fighting over the same buildings. Many of them are fighting over the same site, and it's limiting our ability to bring new business here, because we don't have adequate places to put them. And when new ones come on the market, especially newer buildings that can be either retrofit or quickly turned around, they don't stay on the market very long. So we have to address this problem. And so we've hired Newmark out of New York City and many other offices, and we're going to be rolling out 44 sites across the region. Some are in Niagara County that have an objective litmus test put to them as far as their strengths, their weaknesses, what we could do to bring them to ready market and attract a company like Newmark, serving in a capacity to advise companies on where to go, that would make it these sites further appealing. They have also put in sections like adaptive reuse of old retail shopping malls and strip centers, and a number of other components. The whole study is about 300 pages. We thank Mike for his support and his involvement in securing resources to get this done. This was an expensive undertaking, but one that I think we can use all across the region. Our governments, was mentioned earlier, the stimulus and maybe down the road an infrastructure bill. This will give us the roadmap on how to bring more product to bear and the best way to do it, and some strategies that other markets are using to create more available shovel-ready sites and readily occupiable buildings. Next slide, please. So that's what the report's going to look like. There's 58 specific recommendations in it. And there you see the breakdown of kind of where those fall in. So it's everything from what our marketing in our website looks like, down to what we're doing as far as regional planning, how we speak to business, what we're doing as far as land banking and doing any type of financing, how we access federal programs, and everything in between. So it's a very robust report. One that will be rolled out to government officials, to all of our partners, and then to the development community here and regionally within the Northeast and the Midwest. Next slide, please. And so there it is. It's a blank screen there. I don't know what that was. All right. Oh, okay. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kim real quick to talk about the other challenge that we have. We have lack of product as far as places to put business, and then we have lack of product, if you will, on people, qualified people to hire.
So that's all true. Riding off of what Tom said earlier about upskilling the folks that are here and bringing people home that have left. We know because of the pandemic, they want to be here. They want to raise their children here. They want to be with their elderly parents here. And the cost of living and the work, live, and play is all happening here. So we have started a Be in Buffalo campaign, and we are doing multiple things. We're having virtual job fairs because, if you go back 20 years, I know when I was living in Columbus, Ohio, and my job took me there. So me and my trailing spouse moved to Ohio. There were no jobs in Buffalo. That was the reputation. And the reality is there's a ton of jobs here. And they're interesting jobs and they're high paying jobs. But again, we continue to overcome the reputation of snow and chicken wings. And the only way to do that is to get the messaging out there. So through Be in Buffalo, through our virtual career fairs, through working with our employers, and understanding what the job opportunities are. Invest Buffalo Niagara is using its podium and our bullhorn to shout from the rooftops, come here, we need you here. We're going to shore up our talent. We're not just going to bring home folks to go to the colleges. We want that senior level entrepreneur, that senior level scientist, that senior level engineer. There are so many people that are retiring out of those really important jobs, and there's just not enough folks to fill in the blanks and come up through the ranks. So we need to bring them home from other areas. And the reception has been extraordinary. Really thrilled to talk about the engagement. Social media, because it's so inexpensive, has been a godsend in us communicating this message to folks that look at us in envy, because we're here and they want to be here, and we just have to connect the dots. So Be in Buffalo is going to help us do that. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, we got partial slides here.
Yeah,
We have partial slides here.
You can actually skip that one. That was just basically to show you that we have a sophistication. You would have been able to see on that slide, which isn't presenting specifically within the what would have been on the right of this slide is really all of those. We're because of investors like you and everybody else, we have the ability to use EMSI, which is about the most sophisticated research tool that you can use in the space that we're in, and so we can look at real-time information and see what occupations are heavily skewed towards the lower end, which has been really compromised by the pandemic, and then see where we can bridge and upskill those folks into jobs that are right now, especially in the manufacturing sector, that's going to go through some 35,000 retirements in the next 5 years across our region. And so, are there ways to capture those folks, give them basic skills, and then be able to interest them in a career of manufacturing, which even during the pandemic and afterward is still a very, very strong part of our GDP. So you go to the next slide, please. We mentioned the industry roundtables. We're putting together, we did life sciences already, and that was like an all-star cast of folks across the region to give us ideas on how to further that. We have the renewable energy roundtable that's coming up, and then tech will be in May. We are forming a marketing group across the region from all the marketing professionals to help us do our job better and come up with new ideas. Andrea is going to be serving on that, and we're really happy to have her. The Talent Attraction Committee continues to work. A lot of expertise in HR and talent recruiters are on that committee to help us keep going. I told you about the site availability, so watch for that soon. That'll be rolled out in the coming weeks here. And another program that we're hoping to get going, I talked about this the last time we were together, is helping second stage companies, those that have accomplished some degree of success, but are at that tipping point where if they don't get more resources and they don't get more expertise and connection to our region, they're primed to get picked off by other places looking to recruit companies. And it's called economic gardening. And if you go down the Thruway, Greater Rochester Enterprise has done a really great job of this over the last 8 or so years, and it is a national model, and but it does take some resources to get going. And so we're going to try and work within our targeted industries that you saw earlier that we know we can have success and have resources in, but go out to the more disadvantaged parts of our region where we have success stories going on, but we're not sure if they're going to stay here and grow or go someplace else.
And if I could add 2 more cents on that, it's so important, the retention initiative that Niagara County has done, because now when I roll out economic gardening in Niagara County, Mike and Andrea can tell me who the companies are that are poised for growth. So anybody between 10 employees and 100, anyone between 5 million and 50 million in existing sales. And the idea is a real deep dive on new product innovation, R&D, addressing new markets, deploying an e-market strategy, cutting cost out of the business that could potentially pivot some of those dollars towards hiring more individuals. So it's manifested itself in a lot of different ways, but Niagara County is just ripe with some of those companies, and by providing that guidance, we think we can really escalate and make sure they'll never leave us.
Yeah. Next slide, please.
That's what I got.
Cool. So, and I will, not that, you know, Mike's head isn't big enough, but when I will say, I forgot to mention during the investigation by Newmark into responsiveness within our delivery system, they did a dummy project to basically our 8 counties and just wanted to assess our preparedness and our professionalism in responding to this dummy project. And they rated Niagara County as the most responsive professional in our region. So I'm giving you a little inside baseball there on what will be revealed in a rollout. But yeah, so there, I said it in front of you, Mike. How about that? All right, so we covered a lot of stuff. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. And thank you for your investment in our organization. Anybody have any questions?
Tom, it's Rick. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hey, Rick.
So I'm sure you had conversations with Andrea regarding some of the opportunities on the industrial property side.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that you've been having those conversations. I'm sure you have. We've gotten some interest recently from a large company, so there may be an opportunity there. Basic messages: if somebody owns industrial property and they're not paying taxes, we consider that to be available for transfer to a company that is willing to take it on.
Well, you guys are a leader in that. And that's one of the things we want to, you know, try and do is share those best practices across the region, so that you know, whether it's land banking or delinquent property, or you know, down in the southern tier, you've got, you know, what's going on with Siemens and that whole thing devastating an entire community, and just, you know, try and roll this out in a way that it doesn't sit on a shelf, that it becomes part of, integrated into everybody's strategy, all of our partners who can help bring these sites to more. It doesn't matter what we think, it matters what the clients and those advising the clients think of our offering, and that's where we'll be successful. Hey, Chris.
Hi, yeah, Legislator Robbins, how we doing, Kim? And just a quick question, and I'm not sure, I probably should know this already. How does ESD and USA Niagara fit into the whole mix, or do they not?
Well, ESD certainly does, in that they get, just like our organizations, expressions of interest come in through all sorts of ways, right? So ESD has a relationship with their regional offices, of which we get some interest, and they not only work with us, but they work with Mike and everybody else in the region on the larger projects. Just for the sake of continuity and efficiency, they usually work with us, and then we bring our partners in. And USA Niagara is probably akin to like BUDC in Buffalo and some of the, the specific organizations that do, specific types of development. And so, we refer projects, and projects get referred to us to partner on, as far as, information or coordination of incentives and that kind of thing. There's nothing neat about this in New York. It's just all over the place. And that's part of what's really, somebody asked me, well, what's the thing that you think has been most important we've accomplished as a region over the last 10 years? That's the most important, is that everybody works together. It doesn't matter where it comes in, it gets to the right person, and we all trust each other that, when the bat phone rings, we kind of know what we're supposed to do. So ESD has had a challenging year. They've had a change of leadership. It is not, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, in that I think the attention and the focus has been much more on downstate than we've seen in a long time. And so that makes it a challenge for us to make sure that everybody knows what our issues are here, and what we tried to do is make sure that we've had as much connection with them as we can. All of us sit on the state council, which has new leadership, and they have a direct line into ESD to make sure that we're not forgotten about on this end of the state. And we just try and do a really good job when we do get a referral from them, or when we need to bring them in on, once a project fills out a worksheet, and you start sharing financials, and you really get down to the nitty gritty, that we're as prepared and have a plan A, plan B, plan C, in case, what we're anticipating with ESD doesn't necessarily materialize because of the stress we've been under in the pandemic, especially, and additional scrutiny that's been put on, as Mike knows, with the IDAs and just any type of quasi-government agency, and the dispensing of any public dollars for incentives. That's been, the Office of Budget is involved now, and the Controller's Office, and so it's kind of added a little bit of scrutiny and time. And so basically you got to kind of count to 10 and work as a team, and just make sure that you're not leaving any stone unturned, and you bug them until you get the answer that you want, basically.
Thank you.
I will say that I think we went through that, and Rick, you let me know last time we were together that Niagara County was open for business as far as Amazon and the big facility, and any other lines of business that they may have. I will say we are having another conversation later in the week with them on some of their new thoughts for the region. So stay tuned. It's amazing that they would consider it after what we collectively put them through this last year. So.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks for the opportunity. Everybody stay well.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Tom and Kim from Invest Niagara, or Invest Buffalo Niagara, for giving a very comprehensive overview. We appreciate that. We appreciate, I'm sure I can say on behalf of everyone on the committee, that we appreciate the hard work that you do, and keep up the good work. It benefits all of us, and we truly appreciate it. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Anyone have any other comments for the good of the committee? Anyone, anything? Okay, that being Hearing none, I have a motion by legislator Godfrey, second by legislator Robbins to end the meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Stay safe.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks.
Two.
Good night,
folks.
everybody. Stay safe.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.